Greetings to you, ladies and gentlemen. In front of you is Michael from the grade school, Kenyatta Mahiga High School. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like first to start with an encouragement from our mummies. We say that don't ever allow to adopt a lion as a pet in your house unless you want to die early. Same applies to you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ever allow poverty to knock at your door unless you want to die early. Well, I would like to propose the motion which say that well-determined mortality rate in a country. First, what is wealth? Wealth is the amount of money or property that a person owns or a country. What is mortality? Mortality is the rate of death in a particular area. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like first to start by a saying from the richest philosopher known as Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said that health is the first wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have health and then you have wealth, health is the greatest wealth that a person wants. First, ladies and gentlemen, I would like first to start, and I have pity to my most beloved continent, Africa. What is the most problem facing Africa? Poverty and ignorance. We are no poor. We have resources, but we don't have finance on how to use the available resources in our continent. First, let us see the most problem facing Kenya. One, starvation. Our people are dying at a very high rate. Yet we have a land, but we are not able to use it because we lack financial literacy. Nowadays, let us assume if you compare the life in Kenya and the life in superpower countries such as China, Europe, and etc., you find that you never hear those countries crying due to starvation. You never hear those countries crying due to lack of properties. Why? They acquire their wealth. They are able to use and manage their resources because they have wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all propose this motion by saying that well-determined mortality rate in a country. And if you want wealth, ladies and gentlemen, follow me after this. Thank you.
From the great valleys of Abadia, Raymond Karanja, representing Njiiri School, ready to strongly oppose the motion that well determines the mortality rate in a country. First, I would like to talk to my worthy proposers. You told us that one does not deserve to be poor. To correct you, one does not wish to be poor, so I don't get why you tell us that one should not let poverty knock at your door. Also, I would really love to hear the source of the information on that countries like China don't have people suffering from starvation, yet there's 3 children who are struggling to get food. Insisting that wealth is the sole determinant of mortality rate in a country is also like claiming that the number of tools in a toolbox represent the quality of a carpenter's work, regardless of the skills and the techniques used to make the article. To my first point. First, behavior factors determine the health, determine how the health determine the rate at which people die. Because one, you can't tell me that an alcoholic is going to live long, and yet he has the 10 shillings in his pocket. Let's talk of the local changa. Every other normal person will have 10 shillings in the pocket to take the local changa. Am I right? Yeah, thank you. First, the other thing, you can't tell me. First, okay, let me go to diet. We all have this tendency of taking carbohydrates throughout and starchy foods, right? which consequently lead to obesity. My worthy proposes, when you suffer from obesity, we know that the fat that is generated by the body clogs the heart, leading to heart failure. Are you not going to die? How is wealth even going to bring death there? I mean, 10 shillings is something that everyone can afford. Am I right? Yeah, thank you. To my second point, public health infrastructures. Mortality rates in a country are not solely determined by wealth, but also by the effectiveness of its public health infrastructure. What I mean by public health infrastructure? These are the laboratories in the hospitals, the facilities, and a country with a well-developed healthcare system, efficient disease surveillance system, they are going to cap their mortality rates because the diseases are going to be identified very early, and hence the person will not die anytime soon because the disease is already established and probably the doctors they know what to do with the disease they have acquired from the person. To my third point, public health policies. Mortality rates are influenced not only by wealth but also by public health policies and interventions. Countries with robust public health programs, regardless of their wealth, can effectively reduce their mortality rates. For example, in Kenya, where the president has introduced the NHIF funds to cater for people with financial challenges. Thank you.
I am a lover of literature. That is to say. And I've come across this wonderful book called Fathers of the Nation by Paul Peter. And in that, I find a scenario where a young girl who did not die of an act of male violence. She used to go to seminars, so many of them, but did not die of an act of male violence, but rather died of a simple road accident. I believe Asio Mondi will support me in saying that Professor Karanja Kimani wealthy, surely, and had a real car, a nice car, surely Tumi would not have died from that accident. Can you imagine? That's food for thought. My name is Kelvin Kasolo Mahiga from the grade school, Kenyatta High School. And I would like to answer our first proposal when he asked how does I believe I have a point of correction, sorry. We did not say that we are comparing, China does not have the people who are starving or street children. No, we only compare China to Kenya. The scenario in this is that we find that in Kenya, and actually in East Africa, starvation is rampant. China has its own, but its wealth has enabled the country to standardize this starvation issue to very minimal. But come to Kenya and East Africa as well, it does not have the capacity, the wealth capacity to improve this starvation. That's why you find 9 million people, this is according to WHO, 9 million people have died of starvation. Just imagine. And sadly, these are children, the future of this great nation. The second point is about the obesity. Obesity is, yes, it can be caused due to irresponsible living, but obesity can also be reduced if you have wealth. We can do plastic surgery and reduce our obesity. My father had a very big stomach, if I may say, but right now, and if not only plastic surgery, but we have pills that within 1 week you still have that strong masculine stomach. Our third point is how do health services, he has said that we can supplement our health services to provide better health care services to our people. But that's not the issue, that's not the point. No, we need wealth to supplement these healthcare systems. We cannot do it without wealth, surely. So wealth does determine mortality rate in a country. Thank you.
Good morning, folks. saying that imagine yourself living in a world where the people determine their mortality rate by the size of their wallets. Now, believing that wealth determines mortality rates is like solely the number of ingredients in a recipe that they will determine the sweetness of the outcome. The number of ingredients, there may be a lot, but you forget that the chef himself, the skills in cooking still determine whether the meal will be an applicable meal. So, from Nyeri School in front of you, I, Brian Mwangi Gashohi, here to present to you the motion that wealth determines mortality rate in a country. Our honorable proposing members, they told us that the first speaker came and told us that poverty, we should not let poverty in to our doors. As I would like to compliment our first speaker, he exactly explained to you that poverty is not a choice. It's a state that comes into life and you do not choose to become poor. Actually, if you can get the chance, each and everyone in a country might want to become rich. That's the dream of everyone, I do agree, yes. But now, let's come to the state that you forget the part where you're saying that you're comparing Kenya and China. Let me take your example. And first, before I take your example, I would really like to know where you get your information that the main issue that's undertaking Kenya is starvation. Let me continue. You're comparing Kenya and China. Remember that China is a communist country and Kenya is a capitalist country. Now, what do I mean by a communist country for those who do not know? I mean that property is not privately owned in these countries. And remember, yes, they may be richer than Kenya, they may be wealthier than Kenya, they may have the resources, yes, we do not disagree with that. But remember, even in Kenya, we may not be having the resources, yes, but we have something we call social safety nets. They might not be knowing, they may not have the knowledge of what social safety nets is. That's why they're still disagreeing with us. Let me tell you what social safety nets is. Let's go an example to a country like Germany. Germany, their life expectancy, let me take Germany and Cuba. Let's begin with Cuba. Their life expectancy is 78 to 79 years. Cuba, despite facing economic challenges, they are able to introduce what I call social safety nets. Social safety nets, their example of social safety nets are unemployment benefits. People cater for others, people care for others. So we do care for others through the social safety nets, providing resources for those who do not have what you're calling poverty and starvation. I would like to decline there.
The third proposal from Kenyatta High School, the stage is yours.
Hello everyone. I come from the best of the best, Kenyatta High School, Mahiga, to propose the motion that wealth determines the mortality rate of a country. As we all know, that every human needs one thing to live, water, and sometimes money. And I'm very sure that most of us have come with money just to eat. And we know that, I'm talking about that everybody needs food to live. We all know that a common human can't go for 7 days without food. He needs food. You need the nutrients to keep on going. Let's talk about a person living in Turkana, lacking the money to access the needs such as water and food. They all depend on the government for them to supply the needs, the water, the food, they all depend on it. And where does the government get all this? The money, the income from the people. And with a quote from the 7th Secretary of the UN, the General, he said that extreme poverty is a threat to human health and security everywhere. We are all aware of the World War I and World War II. The end of it, what happened? Japan, the two countries were struck. What did it do? It depended on other countries to live. It needed money, it didn't have money, it was socially weak. And we know that they all needed food. So I'm pretty sure that Kofi Annan would have agreed with me in saying this. We are all aware that wealth prolongs life expectancy and helps avoid some of the well-known diseases. And we all know that the Japanese people were affected by the radiation from the blast that was blown there. Diseases such as cancer struck most of the people, and most of the people who are able to avert this were the wealthy. The wealthy had the financial power to keep on living, since they could access what they lacked in their country from other countries. They could buy their medical needs. Surely, my fellow proposers and my fellow people, come on. Who wouldn't like to live to 8 to 9 years? Who wouldn't? If you are wealthy, you are expected to live long. Come on, let's join our hands and propose the motion. Wealth determines mortality rate in a country.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the great school in the hilltops, we all know it. It's the great and powerful school, Nyeri School. And from Nyeri School, Collins Monene is here to strongly oppose the motion. Wealth determines mortality rate in a country. And to start the opposition, I would like to remind the proposers that he has not told us why wealth determines mortality rate. And I would like to remind him that the spiked mortality rate in Japan was as a result of war and not to do anything with wealth. Now, to respond to the questions, a question was asked, how obesity leads to death? Obesity, it's in biology form 2. The evidence can be found in biology form 2. Obesity is as a result of excess accumulation of fats. And when these fats clog the arteries, it leads to a disease known as arteriosclerosis, which may later result to thrombosis, and this leads to death. Now, I would also like to remind the audience that you said that our first opposer did not try to convince you, but you opposed him after he spoke, which means that you did listen, you did understand, and you were convinced. I would also like to give him evidence. The book by Bachman Lisa, Behavioral and Social Factors and Mortality, can also be evidence on how obesity leads to death. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you that when we are talking of this motion of wealth determines mortality rate in a country, I want to remind you that in a country, we are not only talking about the blessed, but also the unfortunate. That is why I would like to give a point. Healthcare access and disparity. While wealthier nations may generally have better healthcare infrastructure and resources than less fortunate nations, the distribution itself can vary widely. Disparities in access based on social-economic factors can lead to higher mortality rates among the poorer segments. As a country's population is not only composed of the blessed, but also by the unfortunate. I want to remind the proposers that we do not eat grass. They have been asked twice to give the source of their information, and they have not given us any source. So all their information cannot be proved.
Thank you very much. The proposers, you have 1 minute for your punchline.
I'm Kelvin. Thank you. You said we do not have facts, and our facts cannot be proven. That is very wrong, very, very wrong. We've proved all our facts, if I can say. We proved most of our facts, if not all. And secondly, you have not told us, you have not convinced us, sorry, of how how well he's not related. He cannot. We have not really opposed this motion actually, because obesity, we have said it can be cured through plastic surgery, through the artificial pills. That one, and also they have stated another point of NHIF. NHIF has limits. Let me remind you, if you have a national health cover, you are limited because the most NHIF can pay for you is about 600,000. And treatment is averaged at 800,000. Now, wealth does determine mortality rate in order for you to raise this other 200,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The opposers, you have 1 minute for your punchline.
So we're back again, and I'd like to go straight to whatever you've said. You've told us that you've proved most, if not all, of your points. So what about the other points, and how did you prove it? Because I'm very sure none of us understood what you were saying or the points of evidences. Second, you've told us that that cancer, you've given an example of cancer. Thank you for also agreeing with us that wealth does not only, it's not only that wealth which determines mortality rate, there's also non-communicable diseases. Example, cancer. Now cancer does not determine the amount of wealth that you have. In the end, if you've reached the final stage, you'll still die. So I don't see the reason why we're still debating on this motion, and yet we know that if we do agree that non-communicable diseases are the factors that are out there for you to research and understand the motion that wealth will never determine the lifespan of a person. Thank you.
Let's hear the comments from the judges.
Okay, Kelvin, you have a very good introduction. You defined the terms very well. You had a very good command of language. Your confidence went to go down, and you did not give us sources. So you will address that. Then Kasulu Kevin also. Kasulu Kevin, very good introduction. Good command of language. Good humor also. And Englishmen say that at some point you don't laugh at your joke. You give us room to laugh at the joke. You started laughing before you gave the joke. And you are really waiting for the reason you are laughing. And generally a good presentation. Again, no sources quoted. That speaker, you forgot to introduce yourself, so I give you room to introduce yourself now. Steven Sendeo. You tackled, you responded well to the question asked. You managed your time a bit poorly. Again, you did not quote sources. You gave us some rumors, but did not quote sources. And you tried to articulate yourself well, and generally, you are a good debater. As far as I'm concerned, Kelvin Kasulu, you are stronger in the team. Then Njiiri. We start with Karanja. Karanja, is it? Karanja. Very good introduction. Very good command of language. Then your biggest challenge as quoted from the audience is that you are addressing them. One of the hallmarks of debate is to tell us, because it did not come. And then you quoted a source. It was a scientific source, a journal. You referred to clothing, is it? Art clothing. But you did not give us the scientific source. You did not quote it. You just told us, a Form 2 book. There are very many Form 2 books. Very many. So we are not exactly sure whether the Golden Bells, which is also a Form 2 book. Then Brian Mwangi, very good introduction, very good explanation on communism and capitalism. Very good, my brother. Very good mastery of content. Then you gave us a story about Cuba. No sources again. So we are not sure whether you know. You know, one of the strengths of debate kwa audience na judges, tuko na simu, tunaweza Google where wezi. So tukigugu tunakuta hiyo kibo unasema ni uongo. Tunaumwa kwa sababu tunakudanganya, tuwezi kuambia. Next, again the same challenge with our brother. You faced the opponent all through, so you did not connect with us. But generally, you are a good debater. Collins Munene, good response to the question asked. Though you are the one who brought about the biology of 2 book. Yes. Then, Collins, I want to say here, if you are well prepared, you are going to be a wonderful debater in the future. There is something about you that is very strong. You are going to be a very good debater. And for the two teams, during punchline, you always try to convince the audience that you are right and they are wrong. You don't go back to debating again. You don't go back to correcting them again. Try to tell us why you think you are the strongest in 1 minute and they are the worst. So if you face them again and start telling them, you told us this, and itaiba time yako. So in one statement, tell us why your debate, the flow was so strong and beautiful, while theirs was very wrong. And that is the time to capture the team spirit. You can pick what the second speaker said, what the third speaker said, and then you bring it together, put a punch there. What we did not see very well, apart from the first speaker, Kenyatta, is the humor did not flow as much. Generally, you're wonderful debaters. Resolve this.